Hello everyone, I am the Kombucha Mama, Hannah Crum, and I'm here to share a very important tip with you today about what to use to cover your kombucha and JUN. Every ferment needs a cover of some kind. The job of the cover is, of course, to prevent contamination. If left open to the air, problems such as mold and fruit flies would contaminate nearly every brew, as these organisms feed on the sugar present in young ferments. Kombucha and JUN almost always require a breathable cloth cover rather than a hard lid. But every once in a while, a hard lid might even be necessary. So we'll go over the different times when you're going to want to use a cloth cover versus a hard lid. So the golden rule is no cheesecloth. I realize that this is the most commonly passed around piece of bad information, is to use cheesecloth to cover a brew. This is never a good idea. Even if you fold it many times, the weave is too loose, and it can still allow fruit flies or other bugs into the brew, especially over time. Now, fruit flies are also known as vinegar flies, and they're very pesky and persistent. They will find a way to wiggle through these holes into your brew. Instead, when a recipe calls for covering the brew with a cheesecloth, use a breathable cloth cover instead, and save that cheesecloth for making kefir cheese and whey. So like vinegar, both kombucha and JUN are acetic acid dominant aerobic ferments that undergo not just fermentation, but also respiration. As the name implies, aerobic ferments are those that require oxygen in order to flourish. This is called respiration, like breathing, because oxygen is necessary to convert the trace amounts of alcohol produced as a preservative into healthy organic acids. Therefore, they're best brewed in open-top containers with a breathable cloth covering to allow this natural process to occur. Then, as the brew progresses, a new layer of culture forms on top of the brew. That new SCOBY limits airflow to the liquid below, gradually transforming the aerobic ferment to an anaerobic one. This is a natural progression that produces the unique sweet-sour flavor profiles of kombucha and JUN. In fact, we could think of the SCOBY as a natural lid for the brews. The cloth cover is there to keep debris and bugs out. In order to allow for the air to flow, a breathable cloth cover is required for both kombucha and JUN. So now, how do you choose which cloth cover is going to be right for you? As with all of our brewing supplies here, there are a variety of options, and each delivers a different experience. I am a lifelong environmentalist. I was a founding member of the Environmental Club at Niles North High School back in the early 1990s. I've been an active green drinks member in my local LA scene for over a decade. I've worked for businesses that focus on sustainability, and I've always considered kombucha and making ferments at home a valuable way to contribute to caring for Mother Earth as well as for ourselves. So at Kombucha Camp, we prefer sustainable covers that can be reused. And we admit that we prefer our cloth covers to look cute, like this, with a little ruffle. We love our booch and want to make it look nice. But of course, the most important factor is keeping out those pesky fruit flies and any mold spores or other contaminants from the brew. So a lot of people like to use coffee filters or paper towels. And of course, these options are viable, but you have to replace them with every batch. Sometimes the rubber band can cause them to break. While they can work temporarily, we highly recommend switching from disposable covers to a more sustainable long-term option. So one of my favorites is homemade cloth covers. You can use an old t-shirt. You can find a favorite sheet, or even a tea towel potentially can work. So when choosing what cloth cover, the material is the key question. So the best option is going to be cotton, soft, thin, with a tight weave. We want to avoid polyester or blends, and we never want to use a loosely woven fabric like the cheesecloth. So also avoid kitchen towels. Some of them are okay, but some of them, these are like real thick, right? And instead, maybe like an old cotton t-shirt or bed sheets might be a more ideal option. So at Kombucha Camp, we make it easy for you. We take the cloth, we find all different kinds of fun, attractive patterns, and then we cut them for you and fold them up in with a little rubber band. So we make it super easy. So we've taken all of the guesswork out of that process, and you can try those at home. Now, for those of you who like to match the little style like we have here, we also have our custom fit brewer caps. So not only are they cute and attractive, but they also have a gripper elastic, which holds them nice and snug to the vessel. In fact, the main reason we even invented them in the first place was because we found that when we use cloth covers on our larger vessels, like the continuous brewers, sometimes even with a rubber band, our cloth covers would just not stay on securely, right? Or it would pop off. And so that is what led us to invent these custom fitted caps that have gripper elastic to hold it nice and snug. So lots of people have copied this idea because they think it's really cute. So of course we're always flattered by that. But this was something that Alex and I invented many years ago. So here's the cover there, and then you can even add a body, right? So see how we've got the heater on here? Let's say we want to disguise this, or we want to add an extra layer of insulation. We can even add a t-shirt. So now usually they come in the same colors. I'm just mixing and matching here because once you have more than one, you can do that. But it's very simple. Smooth this out in the front. See, there's even a space where you can put your thermometer strip so you can monitor the temperature while it's in use. And this just comes and cradles underneath. So that's one way we can do it. And then of course we can always take this off and let the little ruffle be on top. Ta-da! Here we go in our favorite purple and green combination. So this is what the t-shirts look like. We even have them for the jars. And so we can take this little body. Again, we have the slit for the thermometer strip. So I'm just gonna pop this over the top. And it's going to go right around it. And so of course the benefit, there's another benefit to this, especially when it comes to the glass jars. And that is kombucha, when exposed to UV rays, can go skunky, right? So exposure to light can cause some of the organisms to create a funky flavor or to not be as dynamic as we would like them. And so that's why sometimes you'll see kombucha in the store is in darker bottles. And that's because they're constantly exposed to light being on the store shelves. And so being in that darker bottle, unfortunately we don't get to see the beautiful colors of the kombucha, but it can sometimes help with the quality of the flavor profile. And so here we go. Dee-ta-dee-ta-dee, purple t-shirt. And so while the opaque vessels, of course, the nice thing about those for continuous brew is we can have them in any kind of light situation because they're opaque. That means the light cannot get through. So we can place these anywhere. The nice thing, of course, about the cover here, as I mentioned before, is that extra insulation for your heater. But for the glass jars, once they're covered, now we can place them right on the windowsill and allow them to take advantage of the sun's natural heat without damaging any of the organisms inside or creating any off flavors. So I mentioned before that it may be necessary to use a hard lid. And when that happens is specifically when we're needing to transport our jars. So let's say we're moving from one location to another. We want to screw that lid on nice and tight. Now the reality is that kombucha is more mobile than water. And so even if we have this lid on, we do need to take care that these are kept upright at all times. And if they're filled very full, they can still leak. And so we do want to make sure that when we're transporting them, we're keeping in mind that if this tips over, that could be leaking even if the lid is on tight. Now sometimes people will put a lid on their SCOBY hotel, and that can be fine for a short period of time, but what we discovered was that we'd come back, we'd open up the hotel after a couple of months, whew, there was this weird funky flavor, a little acetone, and that is a sign of sick yeast. And so that's when we realized that in fact the cloth cover, even for the SCOBY hotel, is better. You can take a peek inside and see everything that's going on in there, because the SCOBY is the best lid. And we're just using that cloth to prevent any debris or bugs from getting in there, so that way the SCOBY can keep doing what it needs to do. So every once in a while you might need a hard lid, but for the most part, stick with a cloth cover. Of course, you can make one yourself at home out of any fabric you like, as long as it is a tightly woven cloth and it isn't too loose and it's breathable. So as long as it meets those requirements, you can use it to make a cover. As mentioned, you can use the disposable ones, but to be more environmentally friendly, we do prefer to use the reusable cloth ones. You can grab them at Kombucha Kamp. We have several colors to choose from, and they come in singles as well as 3 packs. And of course, we also have the cloth covers if you prefer these instead. And so these, I don't even know that we still even have this fabric anymore, but they always are switching up the different types of fabric we have, so who knows, you'll get a fun surprise. So thanks so much for watching this tip today. If you have any questions or comments, let us know, give us your feedback. We love hearing from you. Like us, follow us, share us. We want to help get the word out about how to take care of our kombucha and JUN and do it in the best, safest, healthiest way possible. And as always, our philosophy is to trust your gut.